morning. Zhao Sheng, how beautiful people. This brings me so much peace and so much joy. The fall, the autumn season is absolutely my favorite season of the year. And I have a question, and I'll just have some dialogue with you. My question will be, it's a sidebar question, not the topic of the conversation. But I wondered, does the forest in the creek, does it know that I'm here? And if it is here, if it knows this, then perhaps maybe we'll get a big wind that will come through and just blow. And let's see. All right. So anyway, good morning. I just want to have a conversation with you today about something that we're studying in the fixed gate. If you don't know, I have a Patreon. You should see the Patreon thingy at the bottom. But even within the Patreon, for those who want to study more of the internal alchemy that deals with Tai Chi, that deals with the body, that deals with Chi, energy of the body, the organs, our emotions, things of that nature, and do certain practices, of course, to expel the negative Chi out the body in a sense as well. And then even in dealing with relationships, our concept of love and all that, then that's something that we do inside the fixed gate. It's not this is not out in the open in the Patreon, although the Patreon is a great place to start with. But only thing you would have to do is just simply be a member of the Patreon and then make an inquiry, and we send you some introduction papers. But like I say, if you're not willing, if you don't have the time or don't resonate with you to undergo Tai Chi, then it won't work. It's no entry. Okay. All right. So listen. So in my particular study of where I'm at, for the men, because the women are actually studying a completely different system, different techniques, shall we say, because women are women and men are men. We're different. And we finally have some ancient Taoist techniques to do for men and women that deal with expelling what's called negative or pathogenic Chi out of the body. The theory, Taoist theory, is energy, negative energy, pathogenic energy that can cause viruses, disease, and things of that nature can enter the body two ways. There's a external environment, right? Maybe you take something foreign in your mouth, air you breathe, things of that nature, something in the environment, or our emotions, the internal environment. And I find this very interesting. This is so freaking interesting to me because I posed a question in one of the fixed gate papers that says, well, if person C has a disease from person B and person B gets it from A, where did person A get it from if person A is the origin point? And there's only two realizations here. It's something from the external environment, or it's something that's created within the internal environment. And so it kind of plays on, my pops will say that he got diabetes from his mom. It's hereditary. It runs in the family. But it's like, well, hold on, but you wasn't born with it. And so that would technically means if you wasn't born with it, then maybe it's not hereditary. At best, it will mean it's dormant and it's not there, which is very interesting because why is it just sitting there dormant? And then that means something turned it on, i.e. foods 9 times out of 10. What happens to be a mirror through the hereditary thing is, oh, you eat the same foods that your mama eat, right? So that becomes the link. We know this by now. We're there as a society where we want to go organic, and we're there now, right? And so, but when we look at the pathogenic origin possibly coming within from our emotional state, man, that is just some very intriguing stuff. And so they say that every thought that we have produces a, an electrical current that has an effect on the brain, which in return can have an effect on the body. And I said, well, that's not, that's not hard to believe. In fact, that's common sense, I would think, because thoughts are equivalent to electrical activity. And thoughts also, and this is what I think we really got to pay attention to, thoughts are electrochemical, meaning the electrical thought produces a chemical reality. So you can think about something that made you mad, and then your brain, i.e. who I call the immortal chef, I got a paper called The Immortal Chef that is some things you will be blown away about how powerful the hypothalamus is in the brain. That's my baby right there. I love the hypothalamus because the hypothalamus is absolutely the master chef. It's the immortal chef. It makes all of the chemicals in the brain, right? So this thing is a genius. That's why they say the pituitary gland is the master gland. And I'm like, nah, because at the end of the pituitary gland, on the back end of it, there's a storage for the overload from the hypothalamus. That's why it's called the HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals. The pituitary gland does what the hypothalamus says do. You see what I'm saying? So that's the real master of the body on the chemical side. Now there's an electrical side of the brain, i.e. hippocampus, i.e. amygdala, i.e. thalamus gland that sees the input data, everything but smell, right? Or the data input coming in, which is the electrical side of the brain, and the chemical side. So the thoughts produce physical, electrical / physical chemical realities in the body. You think about something that makes you happy, you can start to create a certain chemical that will make you happy, okay? So thoughts are pretty much creating some issues here, okay? And I said, wow, man, that's really interesting because, that means you have to monitor your thoughts. Like you got to safeguard your thoughts like 24/7. Like even when you sleep and you're doing some stuff, you try to wake up. This morning, I was having a dream that I didn't necessarily care for, and I knew I was dreaming. I told myself to wake up to get out of it so I can go back to sleep and start something else, right? Like we got to get our level of awareness to that point, right? Where you don't want necessarily anything negative invading your space, right? So all of the crime shows and stuff, like, okay, that may be fine for a tad bit, but you have to be really careful on the data that is coming into your mind. Come on, Win. That's coming into your mind as a main source or the predominant primary hours of your day, meaning how much time is allotted to spiritual growth and positive thinking and, gratitude versus the news, the drama, the trauma, even shows that are fictional that we deem to be good, but keep showing drama and trauma, right? So you got to guard this. So today I'm going to read a little bit from my studies just to share with you. I just want to read to you, okay? All right, so we're going to start on page 73. And we're going to deal with the heart and small intestines as a paired system. Because in the Chinese medical theory, they're saying, hey, you have a primary organ and you have secondary organs and they roll in pairs. So the liver and gallbladder work together, the heart and the small intestine work together, the spleen and stomach work together, right? And so forth and so forth, okay? Kidney and the bladder, right? That's obvious, okay? So I'm just gonna read from the heart and small intestine paired system because it made me think about, how do we really purify the heart, okay? All right, so the heart governs the emotion of joy and all feelings of excitement that we may have. While its joy itself is not such a negative experience, it is fleeting in nature. It is a temporary feeling of pleasantness, which is nothing compared to the virtuous aspect of divine contentment, which the spirit of the heart is also able to make available to us. So pause. What they're saying is each organ has an emotion, but then it has a virtue that's attached to it. But most of us live in the emotional state. So the emotional state for the heart is joy. Joy is good. That's fine. The problem is it fleets. You just got the new car. You happy for first couple, maybe a month tops, and then it wears off, right? And then you have to go seek something else to bring you joy again, right? So the virtue to that will be what they call divine contentness, okay? So that's what he meant by that, all right? All right, so where we at, all right? So the rule of yin and yang would tell us that for every joy we experience, there must be some sadness to balance it out. And this roller coaster of emotional ups and downs gradually takes its toll on the organ of the heart. The heart likes feelings of joy, laughter, and merriment. These emotions can cause the energetic pulse of the heart to flare up and expand outwards, which is nice, warming, and good, right? What things bring us joy in life will depend very much upon how we were brought up or our first experiences of joy and how they programmed us, as well as the strength of the small intestine. In Taoist theory, the small intestines govern our ability to distinguish right from wrong, the ability to sort the pure from the impure. On a physical level, this pertains to the digestive processes that takes place in the organ of the small intestine itself, while it's on an emotional level, the cognitive function of the small intestine ensures that our perceived sources of pleasure are from a pure source. Taking pleasure in the pain of others, misdeeds, and other deviant pleasures would be seen as an emotional imbalance between the heart and the small intestine. Now this became interesting, right? Hold on, I'm gonna keep reading. On an alchemical level, it is only possible to connect fully with the spiritual power of the Shin, which means spirit, which resides in the organ of the heart. Once these two organs are emotionally and cognitively imbalanced with each other, this was one of the key reasons for ethical teachings in classical Eastern arts, teachings which are too often missing from contemporary Taoist schools. Now, what's interesting to me is, because I was like, well, how would the small intestine be connected to the heart? But when they're talking about, you know, your ability to distinguish right from wrong, pure from impure, I said, nah, it's that thing we call a gut feeling, because that's very real, right? I remember in real estate, the very first property I bought, you always remember your first deals, whether it's your first wholesale deal, your first flip, your first rental, your first is always, you just always remember. So this was the first purchase period though, right? And so when I went to go get, I bought it and I went to go get my young mentor, Austin, the millionaire, like, yo, bro, come check this out. He's like, yeah, 65, you paid too much for it. All right, I wouldn't have paid that for it. Everybody saw it on the MLS. I went to go get Ethan, big millionaire too. Yeah, you paid too much for it, you know? It's like, oh, okay. Well, do you know 5 months later, I sold the property for a $15,000 profit, which is the equivalent of making $3,000 a month off of that particular deal. Not bad for listening to my gut feeling, because it was a house on the corner, it was brick. I kept sawing appreciation, but back then they didn't know. Houses wasn't even, they was flirting with 200s. This house right now would sell for easy $350 right now, right? But I guess you never kind of can foresee that it's gonna keep going and going and going. And they thought maybe at the time 150 or getting close to 200, 189.9 was the ceiling. And so therefore 65,000 plus putting 100,000 in it just didn't make any sense, because they didn't foresee a new threshold being met. And I listened to myself. I bet it on myself. And so that taught me something. That taught me to listen to myself. Trust myself. It don't mean that you won't make mistakes. I made mistakes in the real estate business. I made mistakes where COVID came, and just the timing wasn't right for it. And when we went back on market, we had to reduce the price, and I had to put up $10,000 just to make sure that my partners didn't lose a dime, right? So I came out of my pocket $10,000 to make sure we break even and we just go in another venture. It happens. It happens to the best of us, right? That's the nature of the up and down, which he actually talked about dealing with the heart, right? Because the thing is, the more joy that we have, the possibility of the pendulum swinging to evenness, the even side of that weight will mean, well, here comes an equivalent amount of something to be sad about, in a sense. So this thing that they talking about of how to reach being in a content state is really the paradox that has to be solved, because it don't necessarily mean be a hermit and don't participate in one things. It's really more about the mindset that we're in, how we acquire things, and then when things do come up, most importantly, how do we handle them? That's important, okay? And so case in point, this morning I had an experience where I was on the couch sleep, and I heard the trash truck, and I said, shit, we didn't take the trash out, because we take the trash out in the morning, have my son take it out when I see the trash cans out, right? So we do it in the morning. And so he didn't have school today. And so I go across the street to see, well, maybe he gonna come back around and do this side. Snap, he didn't already did that side. Bump, okay, get in the truck, hit two corners, pull up on him, and the trash man, I pull up on his driver's side, but he drives on the passenger side, which means I had to get out my truck, walking over to his side and say, hey man, this is what I said. I said, hey, can I buy you lunch today? My son didn't have school today and didn't put the trash out today. My address is this. Can you come back around and get the truck? He said, yeah, man. And he said, 48 minutes. I said, yep. And he said, all right, cool. And so he came back around. And when he came back around, I had already asked my daughter for $20 because she always got money, like I said, always. So I asked my daughter for $20 because I don't keep cash, and she gave me the cash, and then I heard the truck, and so he's about to pull off. I ran out there, and I was like, hey. He was like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, hold on. And I went to him, and I had the $20 pressed in my hand. I said, here, man, here you go. Let me pay for your lunch, man, because I really appreciate you. He's like, man, thank you. And so to me, I experienced joy in that moment. I wasn't mad that my son didn't take out the trash. You should have took it out at night. How did I forget and all that? It was like, how can I bless him? How could I, instead of asking him, could you please come back around? Let me lead with, I want to offer you this. And I'm doing it. I'm like, it's an unexpected gift for him. And I know what it's like to experience unexpected monies, doing gratitude. And all of a sudden you get a check back because, the mortgage company said, hey, we actually took too much of your money for this escrow account. Here you go. And it's like, oh, wow, it's my money. But, thanks for being honest. Great. Thank you. This is some unexpected money I wasn't expecting, right? I've been on the receiving end of unexpected monies, and it feel good. So it should also feel good to be on the end where you have to give out unexpected monies. Because, see, that's really ungrateful and being selfish. If I can be in joy of receiving unexpected monies, then I know that when I pay out the money to a company or something, right? Oh, this, like right now, one of my tenants is saying, hey, my bathroom sink is leaking. Okay, but I know my maintenance man, John, in my childhood, who basically was my big brother, my childhood brother, Bert, I know that they're going to fix that. So even if it's just a quick $50, guess what? That $50 goes home to their family, and that puts food on the table, or a bill gets paid to help their family. I know that. So, it's unexpected, but I'm going to participate in blessing others at my expense when it pops up, right? That's going to be my mindset, is just going to bless them with an unexpected blessing. All right. So they must be getting ready to do some type of field trip because I hear the kids coming and whatnot. But just some food for thought, getting in this energy work to make sure that your environment is right and doing the work and the techniques of your mindset, and most importantly, your physical body. So if you're interested, go ahead and hit me up. They're getting loud. I gotta go. They're disturbing my peace. All right. But hit me up on the Patreon. And again, like I said, if you're really interested in whatnot, just shoot me an email once you join the Patreon. Like, hey, I want to definitely get into this internal arts. All right. And I love to share this wisdom with you. Okay. Peace out.